Yes, my non-existent friends, you read the title correctly, you probably saw my community post, and you've looked at my lovely thumbnail. The long-lost, unaired pilot to Star vs. the Forces of Evil has been found, and I'm gonna talk about it because I'm an uncultured swine. But first, let me school you in on what peak television is. Oh, shit.
Actually, I'm totally full, but if you're hungry, I'm a great cook, so why don't you let me out of this chair and I'll give you a taste.
Star vs. the Forces of Evil is a 2015 animated Disney Channel series about a magical princess sent to Earth after being given a royal magic wand. She befriends a misunderstood bad boy, and they go on wacky misadventures together. Oh, and then it becomes a serialized romantic drama with multiple love triangles, and learning that her kind are actually racists against monsters, and everyone got bastardized or something, and, genocide. Yeah, it has a few tonal whiplashes here and there, but at least it's got this frame.
This right here is my favorite thing ever.
What was initially on par with Gravity Falls or The Owl House in terms of quality and critical acclaim, later became a rather controversial show. There were a number of factors that contributed to the seasonal rot, whether it be the dreaded shipping wars, the tonal issues, and the ending. That fucking ending. It's become a bit of a challenge to talk about Star without mentioning its finale. I mean, there were riots on the streets thanks to that episode, but where do I stand? What does a man with this profile picture have to say about this cartoon as a whole? It's good. I like it. You can see why I call myself uncultured.
You uncultured swine!
But none of that's important here. What's really important is that the long-lost pilot that no one expected to have been found has been found in all of its 360p glory. To explain the origin story of this hidden gem would require us to take a trip down memory lane. Like every cartoon, a test pilot needs to be made by its creator to convince executives if said pilot is worth the green light for a full show. Star was no exception. After significant changes were made to the show's early premise, like Starco being a rivalry instead of a terrible ship, creator Darren Nefke, along with the animation studio Mercury Filmworks, created the pilot and sent it to Disney in 2012. This was at a time where the show was originally titled Star and the Forces of Evil instead of Versus, although considering the fourth season's existence, that would be accurate. Okay, the less we talk about that season, the better. As for the pilot, not much was known about it since, apart from some concept art and tiny glimpses of it found in real videos on Vimeo. That was until June 2nd, 2023, where a lost media wiki user named Elliot Toria leaked the full thing on a catbox file on 4chan, which was re-uploaded on YouTube the following day, becoming more widespread on the internet. And the rest is history. Which is today. There's quite a bit to go off of, so let's start by facing the music, or lack thereof. Yeah, this pilot hasn't entirely been finished. The lack of music makes certain moments in the pilot feel really awkward, especially during fight sequences. There's also a few missing sound effects.
On my 14th birthday, my parents happily presented—
and they even forgot to add Ludo and his minions leaving Earth near the end.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
The episode is almost identical to what would later become the second episode of Season 1 Matchmaker, even down to some animations, voice lines, and this face later being reused for the finished product we eventually got. Keep in mind though that I did say almost. The very opening of this pilot where Star receives the wand and meets up with Marco would later be used for the very first episode of the show Star Comes to Earth.
Who is that awesome girl with the fab fashion sense? Gross! That's not even a girl! Over here!
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Looking into this, it's honestly a breath of fresh air to see Marco and Star act more like a dynamic duo again. That's what I loved about the show in its heyday. It was one of the rare times where a main duo stayed platonic and wasn't forced into any romantic drama. Blood Moon Ball has entered the chat. Albeit in this pitch, Marco has about the same feelings he initially had for Star when they first met. But given this pilot combines the opening of Star Comes to Earth with Matchmaker, you don't get that cute moment where he warms up to her yet. Despite supposedly being set 2 weeks after they first met, Marco still acts a bit more annoyed around her for a majority of the pilot. Star, on the other hand, is about the same as she was in the official episode. but shows a little more support for Marco, especially near the end where we get to see more of the pilot's aftermath, with her making up with him while addressing the crazy shit that's happened. The official episode just sort of zips to the end where Star explains the situation to the whole class and then randomly credits Marco for helping out. Although that same episode did end with the teacher giving the worst pop quiz imaginable, and after everyone turns away from Marco, including Jackie, he still accepts that she at least talked to him, while in the pitch, despite ending the same way, has him feeling more bummed out after she pushes herself away. Damn dick move. Wait a minute. Something's not right here. Hold up, let me see this. Oh, my bad. It's just a piece of paper. Okay, so as it turns out, Marco wasn't actually named Marco in this pitch. His early name was Saul, with an O. Firstly, terrible name for your child, do better. Then again, if they kept the name, we would have gotten an infinitely better ship name than Starco. Solar. Still not as funny as the other alternate name, Mar. Is that even a word? Secondly,
Sol Diaz, Sol.
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman.
Additionally, he's played by a different actor instead of Adam McCarther. However, I couldn't research exactly which actor it was, so if you know about it, let me know in the comments. Also, feel free to subscribe while you're at it.
Or I'll crush every bone in your body.
The art style is noticeably a lot more muted in terms of colors, with a lot more details in the scenery almost resembling a 90s Nicktoon. Some of the designs, namely for Star, Marco, and a few others, are closer to their finalized designs with some minor differences. Of course, there are exceptions, particularly, holy Jesus, what is that? What the fuck is that? This was Tom's original design, and my god has it had quite the overhaul. Aside from those glaring issues, I really dig this art style in spite of it being rough around the edges. As much as I love the more vibrant and simplistic style we ended up getting, I just think it's neat to see what the show would have looked like in terms of animation. In general, with lost media like this, it's always interesting looking into an existing show or movie in contrast to what it could have been in its early stages. That being said, I feel like a lot of the changes made for the official show were for the better. Having Saul legally change his name to Marco, having its first episode spend more time on Star and Marco's introduction, and giving Tom reconstructive surgery was a smart move. I guess if there's one moment I wish they would have kept from the pilot, it'd be this part where they could have fixed the pacing of the episode a bit. If there were two things, that would include this hippie outfit. I love it. It's cute. But regardless of it being an early pitch of an existing episode, like a lot of pilots are, watching it makes me love and appreciate the first couple of seasons all the more. I'll admit, some of the lore-driven aspects of seasons 3 to 4 do work, but it practically feels like a different, more inferior show started, especially with how it flip-flops from having legitimately great episodes with an overarching narrative to having completely useless episodes that kill the pace of the show, and at the end of it all, it just makes me miss the more slice-of-life charm that the show had when it started. That being said, I still love this show. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. The pilot's available to watch on YouTube if you so please. Expect me to talk more about this show again in the future, but for now, I'll leave you off on a bit of a cliffhanger. If you noticed that I've rushed the ending a bit, don't worry, I have this PFP to excuse it.
You know we will meet again, right?
Sí, hasta la muerte.
Maybe I'll see you around sometime.
Whoa! Ew! What the fuck?